Hey, this is Monique Allison, and you are listening to Surviving Survival Mode podcast series. And this is going to be centered around the shifts that I'm actually making as I'm emerging out of survival mode. So I'm going to be talking about the habits that I'm changing, practices that I'm doing, and also talking to other women as they share their personal story and their version of survival mode. I really hope that it resonates on a level that will empower and encourage others to make necessary changes in their lives so that we are not just surviving our circumstances, but we're doing things that's going to position us to really thrive. So for episode number 3, I had the chance to talk with Darcel, and she is the founder of the Mahogany Way blog. And I was introduced to her when I decided to homeschool about 2 years ago. And I really like how she's honest about the journey that she's on with her kids.
We just got home at like 4:15, and I timed it perfectly though. So it's, I started my new part-time job, and then 2 of my kids had appointments with their allergists, and then I had to stop at the store, and I took them to the park, and so now we're home, and I told them, I was like, I have a podcast I'm recording, so we got to get home, and then I'm going to cook dinner when I'm done here with you, and then we get to get up and start all over again tomorrow.
You just heard Darcel talking about having a really full day. And even at that point of her day, she still had things to do. And hearing her say each thing that she did, it sounds exhausting, but I totally get it because I have those days. And I'm sure other women can relate to having hectic days. I wanted to talk to her because I know what it requires for me to manage that space, get through the day. And I've shared that that's been survival mode for me. And I wanted to hear her version because that type of day is not just a day. So how are you surviving when that's how a week is going for you? So I wanted to really just understand her version of survival mode. How is she managing it? What is she doing to emerge out of it? And just hear more about her story.
Well, my name is Darcel. I am 38 years old. For some reason, people always like to know how old I am. So I am 38. I'll be 39 September of this year. I am a single mother to 3 kids, Micaiah, Ava, and Samuel. They are 13, 10, and 7. Started out always homeschooled all of them. And then my 10-year-old Ava wanted to try public school for 4th grade. So she went for half the year and then decided she wanted to come back home. So she's been back home this last year.
Okay.
So I have been unschooling since, I want to say 2009, and the special needs, my oldest, Micaiah, is a 13-year-old. She is autistic, high-functioning autism, dyslexia, auditory processing disorder, and then we have asthma with the younger 2, Ava and Samuel, and then Samuel also has life-threatening food allergies on top of seasonal allergies. So
that's a lot.
It is a lot. Like, sometimes I sit back and I think, what is going on over here? But I was telling somebody else, it's our normal.
Yeah.
So we're used to it, but yeah, it's like days like today, like I said earlier, we've just been running. But yeah, I think we manage pretty well. I've had moments where I'm going, what am I doing? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
But for the most part, I always come back to this is what works for my family. And that's why we stick with it. So I was amazed when I really started paying attention to what we did in a day, and not just going through the motions of a day, but putting more of myself, making sure I was fully present, not just being with my kids, but making sure that I was fully present. I was amazed by watching what they picked up naturally on their own. And that's when I really started to believe, like, okay, this can really work. And I knew that it could work because I saw it in my own kids, and they were younger. And so as they got older, for some reason, every school year when school gets ready to start back up, and it's not just unschoolers I hear this from, it's homeschoolers in general, the panic sets in. especially as our kids get older.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where are they? Do they know enough? Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
And then with us, the unschoolers, it's maybe I should try this curriculum. I need to see what the public schools are doing or what the private schools are doing. And then your friends who do use curriculum, you're talking to them. And for me, that has never ended well. It's ended with my kids in tears, me in tears, just disorder, and everybody's frustrated and unhappy. And I thought, this is not why I wanted to homeschool. This is not what it's supposed to look like. So I've had moments like that. And for the past probably 2 or 3 years, it's been less because I know it's coming and I know what's triggering it. And then I'm able to step back and look at my kids, my family, see where they are, and know that they are okay. Because even if they were in traditional school, there is no way they're going to learn and know everything that there is. It's not possible. There's going to be gaps no matter what you do. And that's the whole point with unschooling. When you are interested in something, that's how we as adults learn. Mm-hmm. Because you and I wanted to know about unschooling, we dug in and researched it. We were interested in it. So we learned all we could and soaked it up. Yeah. It's the same exact way with kids. And with kids, they are naturally curious. They want to learn. You can't stop them. So when you let go, mm-hmm. and join with them instead of trying to lord over them what you think they should know, everything opens up, and it's actually pretty amazing to be a part of and watch.
Yeah, and I'm still like in the early stages, and the reason why mm-hmm. I took my son out, because he was in public school until 5th grade, is because mm-hmm. I noticed that he lost his natural curiosity for learning. When he was younger, as he was growing up, he was always wanting to do things like, I want to do it, let me do it. He always would say that. He just always wanted to, and it's new for him. So he wanted to figure it out on his own. It was time to tie his shoelace. He didn't want me to keep doing it. At some point, he was like, I want to do it, let me do it. And that was literally mm-hmm. his language for a while. And eventually it was, I don't want to do that. I don't want to read that. I don't want to do this. Like, oh my gosh, so it took the curiosity out of learning, became like a task, mm-hmm. a chore. It became overwhelming. Yeah. And then specifically for him, because he had to manage other like healthcare needs. He had to manage things that the normal first grader, second grade weren't thinking about. He had a lot of special needs, so he was hospitalized a lot. He takes medication. So he's dealing with pain, and you're over here talking about a project or memorize these words, and so he's not interested in doing these things. He's trying to manage himself mm-hmm. in the space that he's in, and in doing that, he may want something else to distract him, and not schoolwork. He may want to watch something or do something else that's more fun, and out of that, learning can happen as well. The sense of liberation that comes with allowing our kids to learn things that they're interested in is, mm-hmm. I think it's worth it. I feel like it's definitely worth it.
Definitely.
How do you not lose yourself? Because I know I have. How do you not lose yourself in the midst of keeping up with all of their interests, keeping up with managing their health needs, and how are you staying connected mm-hmm. if you are not getting lost?
Well, I think part of it for me is I have really just learned to enjoy the little things in life. And I know people say that and it can sound so cliche, but I really, really do. If I get to enjoy a beautiful sunset, I am so happy. I can be in the worst mood, have had the longest week, and being able to go and sit at my sunset spot mm-hmm. makes me so happy. Really, just the little things. Because there's all this big stuff going on, and it's wonderful. But then what do you do when the big happy things or like the big happy stuff's over?
Yeah.
And then there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if I can't enjoy little moments throughout my day, when the big stuff comes, maybe I'm not going to enjoy it and appreciate it as much. My blog, which I have not been able to blog in the last 2 months, and it is killing me. I mean, that is one of my sanity savers. And it's crazy because I've gone through this period of, I don't even need to blog anymore. My voice doesn't matter. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing what so-and-so's doing. Nobody's paying attention anyway. Nobody's going to miss me if I'm gone. Why bother? Not having that outlet, because it's a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have it right now. And so I'm feeling kind of lost. And this is when I'm going through one of those periods in my life where there's a lot of stuff I could say that I think people could relate to. And I can't share it with anybody because I haven't been able to write. I've been journaling a lot, but it's just not the same. And even when I put up a post, it's not even so much about if somebody comments or not. I know people read it, and it's like, if I can just help one person, so like we said, like they're not alone, I feel good. And even if nobody reads it, it's still mine and I have it out there. I was able to be creative and I enjoy that. And not being able to do that is kind of killing me at the moment.
Is definitely a way to stay connected to yourself, to still do something that you're passionate about. And that was the main reason why you created the blog, was to share and let other mothers know that they're not alone. What's making you feel like you're in survival mode? Like, what particular things are making you feel like, okay, this is hard, I'm struggling, or I feel stuck?
Well, finances being tight, that right there will kill everything. And being alone. And I don't mean that in the romantic sense that most people would think. I mean, in the sense that we were talking before, like, there's no one else here. So, for instance, when we first got on here and I was telling you about my day, you know, where other people, and I'm not saying that two-parent households don't have this problem, but it is different for single parents. And especially if you don't have family or friends or whoever to help you to share that load with, like nobody's living with you, you're not swapping childcare and this and that. It's a lot. I spend a lot of my time driving, and some of it is I like to go. I do enjoy being on the go. I love taking my kids places. The other part is appointments, and we got to get this stuff done. We got to have their health taken care of. And finances, the constant appointments, they're not ending. That's the thing, is this stuff is not going to end, from what I can see, anytime soon. And then trying, like we were saying, trying not to lose myself. Like, who am I? What's going on with my life right now? It just gets to be a lot and can be very overwhelming. And I find it gets really hard when I take my eyes off of what I do have and I start looking around at what everybody else has, what everybody else is doing, everybody else's highlight reel, because, you know, we're all on social media posting our best highlights and looking at everybody else's highlights and then comparing ours. And mine just doesn't look as good as somebody else's. Somebody else is going to look at mine and think theirs isn't as good either. It's a second in time. That's it.
And it's so easy to get lost.
You have to take care of yourself first. And I used to feel really selfish about that and think, like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible mother. But what I have found is when I put myself first and I start taking better care of myself, as I have been lately, I function and feel so much better. I'm happier. My kids are happier. Even stressful situations, they don't get to me as bad. Like, I've gone back to my devotions in the morning and journaling and getting up earlier and sitting with my cup of coffee and just having that time. And I started exercising again. Those little things just help me feel so much better. We've got to put ourselves first, whatever that looks like. It helps me. I feel more centered and I feel better about myself. I have more energy and the house feels it. There's a different vibe here than it was 3 months ago. 6 months ago. There were times where it was survival by any means necessary. And if that meant the only thing I did that day was get up and brush my teeth, I'm winning. Because that was literally all I could do. And fix my kids something to eat. They were alive. They took a bath. Like, we're good. Yes. You know, we've done something for the day. Because I feel like most people, especially women, mothers, when you're in that survival mode, you are so depressed and depleted because you're empty, and then you pile life circumstances on top of that. You can't see a pinhole of light at the end of the tunnel. You are completely hopeless. You know it's going to end at some point. You just don't know when, but you can't see it. And so you just give up and you give in. You're like, well, this is it. This is where we are. And that's where I was not too long ago. I feel like we just go, it cycles, and we go through it sometimes more often than we like. But we don't know what's going to happen 6 months down the road. So sometimes we can kind of see things are changing, and then other times we have no idea and we're just hit with it and we do the best we can.
Do you feel like you had to be strategic with coming out of that space, or was it anything else that you did to kind of move forward?
I let myself feel hopeful just a little bit.
If we continue to be hopeful in the midst of these things happening, I mean, I can't say that I would have gotten out of that space sooner, but I know it would have helped.
Yeah.
The mindset that you're in, the emotions that you feel, the things you tell yourself, the doubt, the shame, the guilt, the negative self-talk. I mean, I would be overwhelmed.
It will bury you.
You forget, like you said, the ordinary things. You forget how to look for those simple things to just be grateful for, and to kind of help you say, okay, this wasn't the best day, but tomorrow is a new day. If you could get a hold of it's your perception about what's happening, you can kind of ease yourself out, or just put you just create a different type of energy to help you get through the day in a different mindset. So do you feel like you're in a different space now? You're able to manage things are moving forward in a better way?
Yes, I would definitely say at this point, I feel like I'm moving out of survival mode and into thriving, which feels absolutely amazing.
Like, once I figured out how to manage my thoughts around things or about things, that helped a lot.
Yes, and I feel like the survival periods don't last as long as they used to. And I'm in a much, much better place. I mean, and it's crazy the way it's happened, because things for me have taken off. Now I feel like I've been blessed with this part-time job, doing something that I used to do. Right before that, though, I started getting all these different opportunities online. It's just been brand after brand and company after company contacting me, and my mind has been blown. We're better off financially than I've ever been. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it's really secure. And when I feel secure, I'm happy.
Yes.
We're not rich. I still have to watch what I spend, where I spend it and all that. But I was able to get my kids season passes to an amusement park this year. That feels so good to me. Where somebody else is like, oh, we do that all the time. Okay, well, good for you. But I'm over here really loving and enjoying it because I couldn't do it before and I can now. And I feel like I have a clear direction for my life and a purpose of what I'm supposed to be doing. Whereas before I was walking back and forth, probably because I was always looking at somebody else. And I know what triggers me, and I can catch myself when I start to feel that way, and I'm able to rein it back in and be like, but that's not you. This right here is you. And it's okay. Your voice matters, and you do you. And it just feels, I just feel amazing right now. Definitely having good mental health, physical health. I mean, we really are our thoughts. Being in a better headspace, it's like it lights a fire under you, and then you get into that mode of, okay, what can I control?
Mm-hmm.
And you start working on that. And then it's just, you move on to the next thing and you just keep on going as best you can.
Yeah. So this is the other thing, your New Year blog post. I love the title because it was called Bloom. At the end of the day, is we want to get into this space of, we do want to thrive. We don't want to suffer. We don't want to be just in survival mode. We want to thrive, and that's going to look different for everyone. So would you consider that, like, you feel like you're somewhat thriving now?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I am. And 3-4 months ago, I was looking at that blog post. I had to sit down and make a list of what I wanted to do this year, things that I wanted in the past and had accomplished. And I basically made like a little goal, like what do they call them, vision boards or whatever. So I just sat down and started listing things that I did want to do and things that I had accomplished. I told myself, it's a bump in the road. The way you're feeling right now, it's not going to last. And you may not accomplish everything you set out to do this year. And that's the thing is, when I wrote that post, I listed some specifics, but nothing like, it was just like, I want to get out with my friends more and stuff like that. Nothing too deep and personal. I just didn't feel like sharing all of that at the time. But I did. I wrote it down again. I told myself, it's going to be okay because you know better now, and life does not go according to plan. So some of these things that you wanted to accomplish this year may not get done, and that's okay. That means you're a failure. So I've made a list of 3 things that I definitely wanted to get done. Things I definitely wanted to happen. I wanted to get a job and be in a better financial space. And then I was like, I am going to move my blog. If it takes me all summer, I'm going to get it done, though. It will get done. And then the third was better self-care. And so those are 3 things right there. One's already done, and then the other 2 are in progress.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with those 3 things done, anything else I want, it's going to fall into place. And like I said, if it doesn't happen this year, I'm not a failure. I'm still in the process of blooming. Baby steps are all you can take to do it. Challenge yourself, work on yourself, be and do the best that you can.
Yeah, and being okay with that. And then it's, it's not perfection, it's progress. Looking back, like in retrospect, what do you think you would want to do differently?
I need to be in a place where I feel where I can afford it and where I feel supported. So that's why I wanted to come back here. And I did. We had a homeschool co-op in Virginia Beach, and I loved it. I'm still in contact with some of those people. We had a group of moms. We would get together like every other month. But then there were moments where I wanted to, and I did isolate myself because I just felt so, again, hopeless and unworthy. And I didn't want anybody to see me because I couldn't put on a good face, and I didn't feel like putting on a good face. And so then I feel like there are times where community is super important and we need to build our network. But then there are other times where we need to be alone because our friends can't always help us. And what if they can't pick up the phone? What if they can't meet us? There's only so much people can do. Sometimes being alone and dealing with the problem head on without anybody else's thoughts or opinions is where the most growth will take place. I say, yes, I appreciate my support network. But again, it's also good to be able to sit and be alone and figure out how you're going to work it out, how you really feel and deal with it.
Yeah, agreed. It's like having that balance of self-reliance, because I learned a long time ago. I remember I was working at a 9-to-5 job, and like it was the end of my marriage, and it was just emotionally draining. And something happened, and I think I went to a friend to try to like vent, and she wasn't available. And the next person I wanted to go to, I couldn't vent to anyone. And I was like, I gotta figure out how to do this myself. because people are not going to always be available to help you get through a moment or a thing at that moment.
Right.
But I also get, I had moments recently where I'm glad that I was able to push past the isolation space, and even if it's just observing or being in company of other people and not necessarily like fully engaging, but even being there and observing. Like you said, when you can do it on your own, it just helps you understand yourself more.
And you feel better about yourself. You realize like I can do this. I can get through it.
Yeah.
Don't be so hard on yourself. Like, give yourself some grace, because you're one person doing the job of two, doing the best that you can. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. Like I said, you're only one person. Take it one day at a time. Find a way to put yourself first, even if it's something very small. You have to do that, because if you're empty, you cannot pour into your children. And your children need you to be that rock for them. So if you want to be able to be that rock, then you have to keep yourself full.
I do want you to share how the listeners can connect with you.
My blog is themahoganyway.com. I am on Twitter and Instagram as Mahogany Way Mama. Pinterest too. Pinterest is the Mahogany Way. And then I've got my Facebook page, which is the Mahogany Way. I hope they like what they see and read.
Thank you so much for listening to Surviving Survival Mode podcast series.